Hello, this is CRT Productions, and in this video, I wanted to make a little PSA style video talking about some of the interesting experiences I've had installing Windows Vista. My previous video on installing and using Windows Vista is doing pretty well right now. I appreciate the support I'm receiving on that video, and while I was making that video, actually, I had an interesting, kind of scary experience, actually. After I had... This thing's really loud, isn't it? After I had installed Windows Vista on this computer in particular right here, at some point I was making the video, but I was, I guess, taking a break from it, and I had it plugged up, and I had shut the laptop to put it into sleep mode, basically. Pretty normal thing to do with a laptop, I would say. I left it there for about half an hour or so, and when I came back, I opened the door to that room. It was in another room. I came back to that room, opened the door, and you know the smell of burning electronics? Yeah. That's kind of hit me in the face when I came into that room. It was rather alarming, so I immediately yanked the power cord out of this thing, and turns out, yeah, it was this laptop, and apparently, well, I flipped it over and felt the bottom of it, and it was hot enough to where you couldn't really touch it, and yeah, I messed around it, and luckily it didn't damage the computer. It got extremely hot. There was no smoke involved, there was no fire involved in the end, but I point out, you know, the time was probably around 30 minutes, half an hour, you know. That's just an approximate figure, but let's say I had left it there for an hour or an hour and a half, which is very possible. I think it could have been a very different outcome had that happened. But anyway, luckily that didn't happen. And but I played around with it a little bit more. Like I said, this laptop's perfectly fine now. After this is all happened, it still works fine. But I was playing around with it a little later, and I did the same thing again. I closed it, and if you listen closely, this thing has a Pentium 4 processor, and when it's turned on, you put your ear up next to it. Right now, all you're going to hear is the fan, but you can hear that processor making that little high-pitched screeching, squealing sound, whatever you want to describe it as, and that's the case with any laptop, especially, or any processor in any computer. You can hear just a slight little sound. When you put it in a sleep mode, you're not supposed to hear that. And there's some documented cases online when I was trying to research this, see if anybody else had experienced a similar problem to what I had. It turns out some people have had the problem with Vista and Windows 7, where if they put the computer into sleep mode, it doesn't turn off the CPU fan. It keeps running, which that's a problem, but not a dangerous problem. My problem is the CPU doesn't get powered off, because you can still hear that high-pitched sound when this is in sleep mode, but the CPU fan does not continue running. It's just the CPU, which results in the CPU becoming extremely hot, and after a while, no doubt, would, well, you know what happens to things that are getting very hot. So, that's just the experience I had with this laptop. I've installed Vista on a couple of computers that weren't designed for it, and one of them it always ran really hot. It turns out it was actually Windows Update that causes that. That was just one particular case with one laptop. I can't speak for if that happens with every computer, but it was just running really hot and it was constantly using 100% CPU. If I disabled Windows Update, it was perfectly fine. It worked perfectly fine. So that's why I say, trying this stuff with computers, you can do it. It's not extremely difficult to do. Playing around with operating systems and different laptops and computers, but it's not always the smartest thing to do in the world. And that's why I say don't try this stuff unless, one, you know what you're doing, or two, you're just stupid enough to do it anyway. And as I said in the Windows Vista video, I'll let you decide which one of those I am. So that's really all I really have to say about this in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got more laptop videos coming up soon. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, the more support I get, the more laptops I'll keep buying, because I've got a problem. Oh.